we discussed three psychodynamic theories. Okay. We discussed three psychodynamic theories. First, we discussed Freudian theory. Second, Horney's theory, and then we discussed Sullivan's theory. Psychodynamic view is very powerful. So, it is considered as the first force in psychology. Okay, so it is considered as the first force in psychology. There is another very powerful view, that is of the behaviorists. The behaviorists, you know, among the most prominent behaviorists are Watson, Skinner, Pavlov, etc. So, behaviorism is considered as the second force. Behaviorism is also a very powerful force in psychology. Okay, you know, behaviorists emphasize on only overt behavior, only overt observable behavior. So they deny to study the internal feelings or internal factors within the person, because we cannot study them, we cannot observe them from outside, we cannot measure them. So behaviorists study only those behavior which we can study and we can measure. Okay, and behaviorists are of the opinion that the environment is important. Environment shapes our behavior. So, since they deny the existence of or the importance of internal factors, they say that personality is not something internal. Okay, so personality is nothing but a set of observable behavior. So personality is a set of habits, is a set of observable behaviors which we have learned from our environment. So suppose somebody is shy. Okay, why he is shy? Behaviorists argue that the person is shy because he has learned to behave in that manner. The environment has taught him through schedules of reinforcement to behave in that particular manner. Okay. If the environment is changed, the person's behavior will also change. So if we change the environment, the person can be changed from a shy person to an outgoing person. So what is important here is the environment. The environment, the reinforcement schedules shape the behavior. So, and our habitual pattern of behavior is personality. Among the prominent behaviorists or learning theories, behaviorists have profound influence in the field of learning. So Pavlov was a prominent behaviorist. Pavlov advocated classical conditioning. Pavlov also focused on observable behavior, because behavior can be measured and thought cannot. Pavlov also viewed individual differences in personality as the result of learning and different environmental experiences. Our what is reinforcement? Reinforcement also comes under environmental experiences. So,
Ma'am,
Pavlov,
I had a
yes,
doubt. Sorry
yes,
to interrupt, ma'am. Ma'am, I had a doubt that,
no,
my understanding about reinforcement is, hello,
yes,
hello.
yes, continue,
Yes, ma'am.
continue.
My understanding about reinforcement is every behavior that is done by an individual is either because of punishment or because he or she wants a reward. So, how is it related to behaviorism?
Yes, that is the behaviorists argue that we have learned to behave in such a way, so our behavior is influenced or is shaped by reinforcement or punishment. That is what I am saying.
No, ma'am. She is
Yes.
asking about how behaviorism is considered considered as with
Yes,
personality.
yes, I am explaining. Since personality to them is nothing but the behavior you show, so what is personality to them? The behavior which you show, your habitual pattern of behavior. You are outgoing because you have learned to to behave in that manner, to be with people, to go to the parties, etc. Why have you learned it? Because your behavior has been reinforced in past. Your behavior has been reinforced. Okay, your party going behavior must have been reinforced. That's why you have learned to go to the party.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Got you. Thank you.
So your behavior has been reinforced in the past. So you are showing that particular behavior, and personality is the way you behave. Okay. So personality is the result of learning and different environmental experiences. Learning depends on our environmental experiences. Clear? So Pavlov studied reflexes. What is say he studied reflex actions. He chose salivation. So what he did, you all know about the Pavlov's experiment. You know Pavlov's experiment. He took a dog, performed a minor operation in the salivary gland, so that saliva which is secreted can be collected and measured. So what Pavlov did is he presented a bell, a neutral stimulus for a brief period of time. What did the dog do? The dog looked here and there. No salivation was there. Then Pavlov presented some meat powder to the mouth of the dog. What the meat powder elicited salivation because food elicits salivation. Pavlov called salivation is the natural response to food. So he termed salivation as UCR, unconditioned response, and food is unconditioned stimulus. So UCR is the natural response to the UCS. When Pavlov presented the bell along with the food for several times, the animal could associate the bell with the food, and repeated presentation of the bell followed by the food followed by the food made the dog to salivate at the presence of the bell only. So whenever the bell was presented, even if the food is not presented, the dog began to salivate. So the bell acquired the food's ability or the food's capacity to elicit the salivation response due to its association with the food. Got it? Due to the association of the association with the UCS, the CS, then the bell could elicit the response, the salivation response. So here the salivation response is conditioned to the bell. So the salivation in the second instance is known as conditioned response or CR, and the bell is termed as conditioned stimulus. What did the animal learn? The association between the bell and the food. So there are several principles of classical conditioning. Acquisition. Acquisition means how does the association between the CS and the UCS takes place. So there are two important factors which exert strong influence upon the ability of a conditioned stimulus to elicit a response. So the bell's ability to elicit salivation depends on two factors. First is the number of pairings between the stimulus and the unconditioned stimulus, that is food. So the strength of the CR depends on the number of pairings of the CS and the UCS. Okay, this is the first factor. So the strength of the response is measured in terms of magnitude, and the frequency of the it depends on the frequency of the repetition, frequency of the presentation of the CS and the UCS. And the second factor is the interval, which elapses between the presentation of conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus. The time gap between the CS and the UCS. Suppose the bell is presented and after a long time food is given, then it is very difficult to associate both the stimuli. So the time gap between both the stimuli is also important to establish the association. It is important for the acquisition of the CR. So this is also important. How it is important to it is related to personality. We have learned it in learning theories, isn't it? So how it is related to personality? Martin Seligman. Have you heard his name? Martin Seligman.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, are you saying something? Okay, Seligman.
Yes, ma'am. We hear the name.
Okay, good. Seligman noted that humans too learn strong aversion to the tastes of food, which makes them sick. Okay, suppose you eat something. Okay, after several hours, after some time, you get sick. What do? You associate your sickness to the food, isn't it? So
Yes, ma'am.
you develop a strong aversion for that particular food. You say that I am allergic to that food or whatever it may be. So your phobias, your prejudices, your hostile feelings, all can be explained through the process of classical conditioning. Okay, so in these cases, stimuli initially incapable of eliciting strong reaction acquire the ability to elicit the reaction through repeated pairing with the unconditional stimuli. Okay, so most of our phobic reactions are learned through through the classical conditioning. Then comes another phenomenon in classical conditioning: generalization and discrimination. Once the organism is conditioned to one stimulus, it is often found that it will respond to other stimuli which are somewhat similar in some dimensions to it. Okay, which are somewhat similar to it. This phenomenon is known as stimulus generalization. Suppose you suppose a bee, you hear the humming sound of a bee, you are afraid the bee may sting you. So you are careful. You generalize this response not only this response to the sounds of other insects also which may sting you. Suppose you may generalize the response of being careful or being afraid to the sounds of wasps, hornets, which are highly similar. Okay, so generalization has adaptive role. Opposite to generalization is stimulus discrimination. The ability to discriminate between two stimuli is developed when one of the two similar stimuli is consistently followed by an unconditional stimulus, while the other is not. Suppose you are reinforcing the dog to when the salivation response, the dog shows the salivation response to the sound of a bell is reinforced, and if the dog shows the salivation response to another sorry. What do you do? Suppose when a particular bell is wrong, you give food to the dog, so the dog salivates. To other sounds, suppose you ring a different type of bell, or you ring a whistle, and you, after the whistle is blown, you do not give food. Okay, so to the sound, you associate food to the sound of the bell, but food is not given, or food is not associated to the sound of the whistle. So the animal eventually will learn to salivate to the sound of the bell only. He can, or it can, discriminate between the sounds of whistle and bell. Okay, so this is stimulus discrimination. The ability of human beings and other organisms to discriminate between various objects is quite impressive, but it has some limits also. When these limits are exceeded, when we exceed the limits, what will happen? The organism may be confused. Okay, they may be confused, and in experimental settings, the animal behaves abnormally to such arrangements. When the limitation between these stimuli, difference between the stimuli is exceeded. Let me clarify you. In an experiment, what Pavlov did, he presented a circular chip, then he presented food. With repeated presentations of the circular chip and followed by the food, the dog soon learned to associate these two stimuli, and the dog began to salivate at the site of the circular chip. Okay, then what the experimenters did, they did not give food when a chip of elliptical shape is presented. Okay, so the dog could discriminate between the circular chip and the elliptical chip. When circular chip is presented, food is given. When elliptical chip is presented, food is not given. So the dog could discriminate between the two. What the experimenters did then, they changed the shape of the ellipse. The shape of the ellipse became more and more circular. Shape approached, it became more and more circular. So as the shape approached the shape of the circle, shape of the ellipse approached the shape of the circle, the dog was confused whether to salivate or not to salivate. whether food is coming or not coming. So the dog behaved abnormally. That is, and Pavlov calls this phenomenon as experimental neurosis. So neurosis is induced experimentally here. So the abnormal behavior is induced experimentally. That is why it is called experimental neurosis. Sometimes when we are too confused, we also behave abnormally. We do not know what to do. Suppose during this shutdown period or lockdown period, somebody is or corona infection, somebody is saying you wear mask, somebody is saying you don't wear mask, somebody is saying you do this, somebody is saying you don't do this. So with so much of information, particularly spread through social media, we become confused and we become more phobic about the corona infection due to this confusing information. Okay, so in that way our personality is also affected. And another phenomenon in Pavlov's conditioning, theory of conditioning, is extinction and spontaneous recovery. Extinction happens when the conditioned stimulus is not associated with, is not paired with the unconditioned stimulus. Suppose after conditioning has been established, we then we do not give food after the bell is rung. Okay, so food is no more given to the sounds of the bell. After the sound of the bell, what will happen? The dog gradually decrease its amount of salivation, or gradually will stop to salivate to the sound of the bell. So this is called extinction. So extinction of conditioned response is also very important for the development of normal personality. If we lack some mechanism for getting rid of useless reactions to stimuli which no longer serve as reliable cues for the occurrence of such events, we would be burdened with some useless responses. Examples are our superstitious beliefs. Somehow we have learned and developed those beliefs because they have been reinforced in the past. But we have to extinguish these beliefs or our responses, superstitious reactions. Now, otherwise, because these reactions or these beliefs are useless, if these reactions are not extinguished, we will be superstitious. Okay, and there are several behavior modification techniques also developed on the basis of this classical conditioning. We know systematic desensitization, we know aversive therapy. You will learn it in your learning classes. Then another conditioning learning theory, influential learning theory, is that of B.F. Skinner. Skinner, what did he do? Most of the personality theorists attempted to understand personality by studying groups. But Skinner attempted to develop general laws by studying individual. All of us know about Skinner, and Skinner argued that behavior can be predicted and it can be controlled. So he advocated operant conditioning. Oh, what is operant behavior? An operant behavior, because he emphasized on the learning of operant behavior, his theory is known as operant conditioning. What is an operant? Operant is a response that operates in the environment and changes it. So the response operates on the environment and changes it. By showing which response we can bring a change in our environment is an operant. Okay. So the changes in the environment affect the subsequent occurrence of the response. If the change is pleasant, we may repeat the operand. If the change is not pleasant, we may not repeat the operand. So in operant conditioning, the reinforcer is not associated with the eliciting stimulus as in classical conditioning. In classical conditioning, we learn to associate between two stimuli, the conditioned stimulus and the unconditioned stimulus. But in operant conditioning, we learn to associate the stimulus with the eliciting response. Eliciting stimulus with the response. So in operant conditioning, we associate between the stimulus and the response. So it is SR learning. In classical conditioning, it was SS conditioning. You all know about the Skinner's experiment. He put a rat inside a box that is known as a Skinner box. The box was arranged in such a manner that there was a lever, and whenever the rat pressed the lever, food was delivered. And after several pairings of the rat's liver pressing reaction and subsequent presentation of food, the rat could soon associate both these liver pressing response and reinforcement. So inside the box, he showed the liver pressing reaction, because after liver pressing, he the animal could bring a change in its environment. Food is delivered, means the environment is changing. So food is pleasant. So the liver pressing probability of liver pressing reaction increases. Whenever the next time the rat is put inside the Skinner box, it is very likely that it will start pressing the liver, because it has learned to press the liver, and it has learned that this reaction can bring a change in the environment. So since food here is increasing the response probability or the probability of that particular behavior, it is here known as reinforcement. So anything that increases the probability of a particular behavior is called as reinforcement. If reinforcement is given, the probability, behavior probability will increase. If the reinforcement is not given, then reinforcement is withdrawn, then probability of behavior will decrease. We may call it as extinction. Let us here distinguish between positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement, you know, is something which when presented is presented, it increases the behavior probability. Okay, so if something pleasant is given, then the behavior probability will increase. It is positive reinforcement. What is negative reinforcement? When something is withdrawn and withdrawal of that something increases the probability of behavior, then it is called negative reinforcement. So obviously, if we withdraw some positive reward, then the behavior will not, the behavior tendency will not increase, it will decrease. So negative reinforcement is something unpleasant is removed. Okay, something
Excuse me, ma'am.
unpleasant. Yes, yes.
Can you distinguish between negative reinforcement and punishment?
Yes, I am going to explain you. So reinforcement always increases the probability of a response. Okay, positive reinforcement increases the probability of a particular response by its presence, and negative reinforcement increases the probability of the response by its absence when we withdraw, by its withdrawal. Okay, on its withdrawal, the behavior tendency increases, probability increases. What is punishment? If we present something unpleasant, then the probability of the behavior decreases. Okay, we present something unpleasant, we give shock. If the rat, whenever the rat presses the lever, we give it a shock. Okay, then the rat's lever pressing reaction will decrease. Rat's tendency to press the lever will decrease, isn't it? So here it is punishment. So punishment decreases the probability of a response by its presence. When punishment is given, something unpleasant is given to decrease the probability of a response, it is punishment. Got it? There are two dimensions. First,
Yes, ma'am.
whether it is presented or it is withdrawn. Negative reinforcement works when it is withdrawn. Punishment works when it is presented. And second, secondly, our objective, negative reinforcement always increases a behavior, increases the behavior probability. Punishment always decreases the probability of the response. So we can distinguish them on two dimensions. Got it? Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Got you. Thank you. Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can you provide an insight about omission training?
Yes, omission training is something, your positive reinforcement is you present something pleasant to increase the probability of a response. If you withdraw something pleasant to decrease the probability of a response, it is omission training. Just as positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, the objective is to strengthen a behavior. Positive reinforcement is presented, negative reinforcement is something unpleasant withdrawn. You got the distinction? Just like that, the objective of punishment as well as omission training is to decrease the probability of a response. It is the objective is to weaken a response. Okay? In punishment, something unpleasant is presented. In omission training, something unpleasant is something pleasant is withdrawn. In punishment, something unpleasant is presented. In omission training, something pleasant is withdrawn. Suppose you are not studying at all and always watching TV. Okay? Your parents decide to decrease your TV watching behavior. Okay? So they want to decrease your TV watching behavior, to weaken your TV watching behavior. Their objective is clear, to weaken a response. What they do, if they administer punishment, they will present something unpleasant, they will scold you. Okay? If they are scolding you to with the objective of decreasing your TV watching behavior, it is punishment. They may do another thing. They may, if you watch TV, then they may not be giving. They may withdraw your pocket money. Your father will say, I won't give you your pocket money, if you watch TV all the time. Okay? Then pocket money is pleasant thing. He withdraws pocket money. He stops to give you pocket money with the aim of decreasing your TV watching behavior. Clear?
So, ma'am, here withdrawal of pocket money is omission training, whereas scolding is like it awards us punishment.
Yes, you are
Yes.
absolutely correct.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
So, ma'am.
Yes,
Hello.
yes. Are you saying so?
So, ma'am, can we say that? Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, can we say that omission training is contradictory to negative reinforcement?
Yes, the objective is different. Negative reinforcement's objective is to strengthen a response. Omission training's objective is to weaken a response. So it is contradictory. And negative reinforcement is something unpleasant is withdrawn. In omission training, something pleasant is withdrawn. Okay? So the objective
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
of both the two, the objectives of both of them are different. Okay, got it?
Okay, ma'am. Got you. Thank you.
So then coming to schedules of reinforcement. Skinner talked of several schedules of reinforcement. First, we may give reinforcement each time the organism shows a particular behavior. If each time, are you saying something, Kumar? Kumar, are you saying something?
No,
Okay.
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Suppose we give reinforcement to the organism each time it shows a particular response. It is continuous reinforcement. If we do not reinforce the rat each time it presses the lever, we present the reinforcement intermittently. Then it is called intermittent reinforcement schedule. Intermittent reinforcement schedule, we may decide to give reinforcement after a particular interval, that is interval schedule. The interval, we may decide to reinforce the animal after a fixed interval, or our interval of reinforcement may not be fixed. If the interval is fixed, it is called fixed interval schedule. If we decide to reinforce the animal after every 20 seconds, whether it presses the lever 5 times within that 20 seconds or twice within that 20 seconds, it doesn't matter. So number of responses here doesn't matter. After each 20 seconds or after each 15 seconds, we decide to give the animal reinforcement. That is fixed interval schedule. If we decide to vary the interval, sometimes it is after 5 seconds, sometimes it is after 20 seconds, sometimes it is after 1 minute, then it is variable interval schedule. This is regarding interval schedule. We may also decide not to reinforce the animal after a fixed interval or not on the basis of interval. Interval means time, after a particular time. We may decide it to reinforce the animal after a fixed number of responses it shows. After each 5 responses, we may reinforce the animal. It is fixed ratio schedule. If our ratio varies, sometimes after the animal shows 2 responses, we give reinforcement. Then the next time we give reinforcement after 10 responses. The next time we give reinforcement after 7 responses. So our ratio of reinforcement varies. That is called variable ratio schedule. What happens in case of variable schedule? The extinction is very difficult, and it is most difficult in case of variable ratio schedule, because the animal always anticipates, it doesn't know when the reinforcement will come. So it goes on showing the response. So it is very difficult to extinguish a response if the reinforcement is given in a variable ratio schedule. And what happens if the animal is given is on a continuous interval schedule, fixed interval schedule. If the animal is on a fixed interval schedule, what happens? The animal knows that after a particular period of time, whether it work or not work, it will get reinforcement. So after getting reinforcement, it will be lazy. It will not show any response. And as the reinforcement time is near, it will show some response. Suppose we are getting our monthly salary, whether we work or not in government jobs, we get our monthly salary. It is our fixed interval schedule, reinforcement schedule. So we are not working. Then Skinner does not approve. We have discussed about the unpleasant or aversive stimuli, and we talked about punishment. But Skinner doesn't approve the use of punishment. He is of the opinion that punishment is punishment doesn't extinguish or remove the behavior permanently. Whenever the punishment, fear of punishment is not there, the organism will show that behavior again. What happens? Suppose in the fear of your father's scolding, Papa will scold me, so I will not watch TV. Your TV watching behavior decreases. When Papa is not there in the home, he is outside, then Papa is not there, so he is not there to scold me. Let me watch the TV. So you will show that behavior when the fear of punishment is not there. So it is not so effective in bringing about the behavior change. What Skinner says, in case of punishment, you suppose you have learnt a response because you have been you had been reinforced for that behavior. Okay, you have got reinforcement for that behavior, that's why you have learned that behavior. If we want to extinguish that behavior by punishment, what was reinforcing the bad behavior has not been removed. We have not removed the thing or the stimulus which is reinforcing your bad behavior. We are only giving punishment. So as the reinforce the whatever that is reinforcing your bad behavior has not been removed, it will not lead to extinction. The behavior will not be extinguished. The behavior will be suppressed. So the hidden reinforcer is there. It has just been covered up with a conflicting aversive stimulus, with a unpleasant stimulus. So the organism waits till there is the aversive likelihood of the aversive stimulus decreases. So the baby or you wait till your father is out of home, and you or you find something else to explain your behavior, and you show that behavior. And Skinner believed that the conditioned reinforcer are of great importance. In this context, he tells about primary reinforcer and secondary reinforcer. Primary reinforcers are those which satisfy your primary needs like food, thirst, or sex, etc. So food, water, and sex are examples of primary reinforcers. It is obvious that our every action is not maintained by the presentation of these primary reinforcers. Always we are not given food for every behavior. We are going to office not to obtain food. But why we are going to office? We are given money. We are working for money. So money itself has no value. Money can bring you primary reinforcers. Okay, money can enable you to get other primary reinforcers or whatever you want. So money is believed to be a secondary reinforcer. And secondary reinforcers are of great importance in controlling human behavior. Got it? Money has no intrinsic value on its own, but being paired with primary reinforcers, it acquires the reinforcing quality. That's why money is reinforcing.
Ma'am, can you give some example of this?
Yes, I gave you example. Primary reinforcers are those which satisfy your primary needs, like food, water, or sex. Suppose we go to office. Okay, we work. Why do we work in the office? We are not given food there. What we get there? Money. Money has no intrinsic value. Money cannot satisfy our hunger. So, but money can help you in satisfying your hunger. You can buy food with money and you can satisfy your hunger. So money with its association with primary reinforcers, money can buy you food. Okay, so it is associated with primary reinforcers. So it has acquired the reinforcing quality. So money has become a reinforcer. Money is a secondary reinforcer. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the notion of secondary reinforcement is important in Skinner's theory of personality, and he used it effectively to account for the maintenance of many responses that takes place as part of our social behavior. You are studying MA in IGNOU. Okay? Why are you studying? What reinforces you? You are not. You will not be given food at the end of your exam. You will be given a certificate. Okay. So your certificate will help you to earn something or to get you food. So here certificate is not primary reinforcer. Okay? You may say certificate is a tertiary reinforcer. Okay? So,
Yes, ma'am. Got you. Thank you.
okay, welcome. Skinner also discusses about superstitious behavior. The type of conditioning in which there is no causal relationship between the response and the reinforcer is referred to as superstitious conditioning. When the reinforcement happens to occur purely due to chance factor, at the time the individual made a particular response, it is purely coincidental. But the individual started to believe that the particular response made by him is the cause of getting the reinforcement. So, actually there is no causal relationship between these two, but the person believes that there is a causal relationship, then it is called superstitious belief. Okay. Suppose you are going to a competition. You are wearing a red dress. Okay. Coincidentally, you got a prize in the competition. You associated your red dress with that prize. So you thought, if you thought that red dress is the cause of wearing a red dress is the cause of getting a prize. Actually, red dress is not causing your prize. Red dress is not the cause of prize. Your performance is the cause of your reward. Okay, but you think that red dress is the cause of your reward, then you are developing a superstitious belief. Okay. And according to Skinner, as we learn normal behavior, we also learn abnormal behavior. Our abnormal behavior or maladaptive behaviors have been reinforced. That's why we have learned them and we develop abnormality. So our shyness, our phobic reactions, addictions, alcoholism, all these type of abnormal behaviors have been learned. And there are also several behavior modification techniques developed on the principles of basing on the principles of operant conditioning, like your token economy, your shaping, chaining, etc. How can we evaluate this learning perspective of personality? Skinner based his theory upon impressive experimental evidence. So it is very scientific. It has a very sound scientific basis. Experimental support. It is backed by experimental support. Skinner's theory or Pavlov's theory. Both Skinner and Pavlov, they have also useful therapeutic applications of their theories. There are therapeutic strategies based on classical as well as operant conditioning. However, Skinner's theory is not considered as a comprehensive theory of personality. Since Skinner disregards or ignores the rejects the importance of relevance of all personal factors, it is said there Skinner takes away the person from personality. If there is no person, where is personality? Got it? So biological factors have been ignored. Role of unconscious, Skinner denies. So many of the relevant factors, which are personal factors, they have been their importance is not considered or is rejected. So it is said that Skinner is not a Skinner or Pavlov. They do not theory.
Ma'am, Skinner also discussed a bit about generalization phenomenon. Ma'am, can you just
Yes,
clear a bit about it?
yes, he has talked of generalization and discrimination also. Uh, Similar. Um, you give a particular response and you get from that particular response you get reinforcement. Okay, but at other time, you are not giving reward for showing the response to stimuli which are different from the original stimulus. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
let me give you an example. Suppose the rat is put in a spinner. Okay, whenever the color of the liver is red and the or a red light is turned on, the rat presses the lever and gets the food. At other times, a green light is turned on. The rat presses the lever but doesn't get the food. So the rat discriminates between the two colors. It is a stimulus discrimination. Likewise, if the rat learns to respond to the color of the Skinner has worked with pigeon on this to colored seeds are there, and the pigeon takes the colored seed. If the pigeon suppose takes a red seed and gets food, the pigeon also learns to take the seeds which are nearer to red but not exactly red seed. Okay. suppose it learns to take to keep the different shades of the red or pink chip or orange chip. They are not red. They are different in color. What the so we can response to them. It is a stimulus generalization. Skinner has experimented it.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
He has experimented on stimulus generalization, response generalization, etc. Okay. So the behaviorists, we have discussed that to the behaviorist, the environment is of utmost importance. Environment is important for them. But there are some psychologists who agree with the importance of the environment. So they are behaviorists. They claim themselves to be behaviorists. But at the same time, they also acknowledge the importance of belief, expectancy, anticipation, etc., which are personal factors. Okay. So they believe in the importance of environment. At the same time, they also believe in some personal factors, some within the person factors. Your belief, your anticipation, your expectations are all within you. So they are your internal factors. So these latter group of behaviorists, since they also acknowledge the importance of personal factors, they are called as social cognitive theorists. Their theories are behaviorists, but since they also acknowledge the importance of personal factors, they are called social cognitivists. And Bandura is one among them. Albert Bandura. Okay. Bandura's theory is known as social learning theory or social cognitive theory. So Bandura emphasized the role of expectancy, belief, anticipation, etc. For example, environment is important. Suppose your friend persuades you to go to a movie. Okay, so your environment persuades you to go and watch the movie. But you are not interested to go. Will you go? Will you accompany your friend? Certainly not. If you are not interested, you will not go. So your behavior is not determined by your environment here. Your personal interest can determine your behavior. Okay? So Bandura argues that three things are important. First, your environment. Second, your personal factors, and these two are influencing your behavior. So these three things: environment, personal factors. Personal factor means your belief, your expectancy, your interests, your abilities, and so on, and your behavior. These are in relation to each other. These three components influence each component influences and is influenced by the two other components. Okay. Suppose, let us take an example. Suppose your environment decides your behavior, determines your behavior. Okay. Your behavior can also modify your environment, isn't it? Suppose you today is Roger. You are interested in going to the kitchen and eating some podopitha. Here the environment is you are listening to my boring lecture. So environment is boring lecture, and if you are getting bored. So suppose you are getting bored, the environment can change your behavior. You may decide to leave this meeting and go to the kitchen and eat some podopitha. So environment determines your behavior. Okay. When you leave the meeting and have some podopitha, you get pleasure, and your environment is pleasant now, interesting now. Your behavior also changes your environment, isn't it? You are no more in this environment. You are in kitchen. You are eating podopitha. So environment is much interesting. So you can also change your environment. So what I want to say is, environment determines your behavior, and your behavior can also change or determine your environment. Likewise, your personal factors, your belief can determine your behavior. Okay. If you don't like podopitha, you won't go and have it. So your personal factors determine your behavior. Your behavior also determines your personal factor. Okay. Your behavior also determines your personal factor. Agree with me?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, but what is the role of cognition here?
Cognition is your personal factors, your thinking, your behavior, belief.
Ma'am, can you give
You
another
believe?
example and explain it? Like it's confusing.
Okay. Whatever you believe is your cognition. Okay. You believe that you can change your behavior. Okay. You believe that you can change your behavior. So you believe it, and since you believe it, you tend to show a particular behavior. Okay. You believe that you can sing well. Okay. So since you believe that you can sing well, you begin to sing. Okay. So your belief determines your behavior. And once you sing and you see that your everybody is appreciating your musical ability, then your behavior, your belief is also strengthened. Or otherwise, you sing a song and nobody appreciates you, then your belief is changed. No, I cannot sing well. Yes, you are saying something. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Sorry. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, now you are audible.
Ma'am, so basically we can say that all the three factors influences each other. Like the personal factors,
Yes,
the cognitive factor and the behavioristic factor.
behavior itself. So all these three components influence each other. That's why this concept, according to Bandura, is known as reciprocal determinism. These three are in a tripartite relationship and each influences each other. So it is known as reciprocal determinism. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
this is known as reciprocal determinism. Then coming to your belief system, your personal factors. There are several personal factors, but Bandura says that he advocates a very powerful personal factor, that is the self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is a concept developed by Bandura. What is the self-efficacy? Is that it is your belief that you can behave in a particular way, you can control your behavior to bring about the desired change in the environment. Okay, so self-efficacy is, am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. So self-efficacy is the belief that you can control your behavior so that you can bring the desired change in the environment. So you have belief that you can change your environment or you can control your environment as well as you can control the environment. That is self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is a very important factor. It is related to a number of positive developments in people. Like if you want to solve a problem or start a course, if you are not self-efficacious, then you may not start your action. If you do not believe that you can do it and you can achieve it, then it is not very likely and that you will start your action. Okay, so
So, ma'am, how it is related to personality?
self-efficacy is a personality trait. Though there, Bandura is not a trait theorist, it is a personality dimension. It is your quality. It is your quality. If you are self-efficacious, you are more confident. So it is a personality dimension. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
self-efficacy, it has been experimentally found out that self-efficacy has been experimented. Effects of self-efficacy have been supported in experiments conducted in the field of health psychology. Suppose you want to start exercise, you want to lose weight, and you start to exercise. if you think that you can you will regularly exercise, you can regularly exercise and you can reduce your weight, then you will do it. Those people who are low on self efficacy, they are not very successful in it. Suppose the people who are trying to quit smoking, okay, self-efficacious people are more successful in their attempt to quit smoking. Those who are not self-efficacious, they return back to smoking. So self-efficacy is, according to Bandura, a very important personality dimension. People's sense of self-efficacy can be high or low. It depends on some factors. First, their experience of success or failure in similar circumstances. Okay. If you have experienced that a particular behavior has been successful in bringing about a change in your environment, then you are very likely to repeat that behavior. Okay. So you will believe that my behavior will change the environment, so your self-efficacy will be high. So your self-efficacy depends on your experience of success or failure of your behavior, your success or failure experiences in past. Secondly, it also depends, self-efficacy also depends on what others say about it. So it also depends on others' opinion. Suppose you are doubtful whether I can sing or not, like this, and your friends and your parents, they say that no, you don't know, you sing very well. Then you believe that you can sing well, isn't it? So second thing is others' opinion, what others say. And third is your own assessment of your competence. How do you assess your competence? And fourth thing is vicarious reinforcement. I will tell about vicarious reinforcement. Before discussing vicarious reinforcement, let me say you that Bandura is known for his observational learning. Why he is known as a social learning theorist? Because he emphasized on observational learning. Bandura is of the opinion that much of our behavior has not been learned through the process of operant conditioning or classical conditioning. A majority of behavior, our behavior, we learn through observing others, okay, observing the models. So observational learning, we observe others doing a thing and doing a behavior, and we start doing it. Okay. When the behavior whose behavior we are imitating is known as model. Okay, so whose behavior we are imitating is called a model. We imitate the behavior of a model who is whom we perceive as trustworthy, whom we perceive as an expert in the field, a model who is attractive, and so on. That's why advertisement companies they use film stars and beautiful, attractive, physically attractive people they to advertise their products, because we tend to imitate the behavior of attractive people. So we also imitate the behavior of people whom we consider trustworthy. Gandhi has told that, so we should do it. Gandhi was doing that, we should do it. Trustworthy. We also imitate the behavior of those who are in high positions, because they are in high positions, they have been successful by showing this behavior, and I should imitate him. So in this case, what happens? We are showing that behavior, and our behavior is not reinforced here. When we suppose Shahrukh Khan is using Fair and Handsome cream, so I should use it. Fair and Handsome cream actually may not be making me fairer, but I am using it. Why? I see in the TV screen that the person is getting fairer. So I am here not being reinforced, but I get reinforced by seeing that the person on the TV screen is getting the result. The person in the TV screen is getting the reward. By the scene of the person getting the reward, we feel rewarded. Why do we imitate the heroes? Because when we watch a movie, at the end of the movie, the hero is rewarded. So by watching the hero being rewarded, we think that we are being rewarded. So by observing somebody being rewarded for a behavior, we tend to show that behavior, particular behavior, though we are not directly reinforced for this particular behavior. That is called as vicarious reinforcement. So vicarious reinforcement is a situation in which the reinforcement or reward obtained by someone else has a reinforcing effect on our own behavior. Got it? When we observe that someone else is rewarded or is reinforced for his behavior, that situation we has reinforcing effect on our behavior. Okay, when we observe this, we feel rewarded. That is vicarious reinforcement. So our self-efficacy also depends on vicarious reinforcement. By showing some particular response, somebody else has been successful, so I will be also successful. So I should behave. I should act in that particular manner. Going to a particular coaching institute, somebody else has cracked the civil service exam, so I will attend that coaching institute. Okay, that is vicarious reinforcement. So Bandura also has talked about self-regulation. Self-regulation involves using our own cognitive processes to regulate or control our own behavior. So Bandura talks of a self system. So self-efficacy, self-regulation, etc. So we know sources of self-efficacy: mastery experience, our past experience, our vicarious reinforcement or social modeling, social persuasion, somebody else persuades us or encourages us to do something, and our own self-efficacy, our own belief. We get it. And Bandura also talks of observational learning. He has experimented on how the children learn aggressive behavior. So his famous Bobo doll experiment, the children saw a video. Please, excuse me. Children watched a video where some children or a model is showing aggressive behavior towards a doll. He is kicking that doll, he is throwing that doll. Children saw that video. After that, watching that video, when children actually are presented with such a doll, they show aggressive behavior. So the children imitated the aggressive behavior of the model whom they saw in the video. So he experimented on this aggressive behavior of children. To explain this imitational behavior or observational learning, Bandura explains this. He talks of certain steps involved in the modeling process. Okay, first attentional process. First, we have to attend to the model's behavior. If we want to imitate or if we are to imitate, first of all, we have to attend to its behavior. Second, retentional processes. We have to keep the behavior in memory. And third, the reproduction process. When similar situations arise, we reproduce the behavior. Okay. So these three processes are involved. Another process is involved, motivational process. If we are not motivated towards doing it, then we may not do the behavior. We have attended the fair and Shah Rukh Khan's advertisement of fair and handsome cream. We have retained the information in our memory. We can reproduce it, but if we are not motivated, then we won't use fair and handsome. So for our motivation, reinforcement and punishment also plays an important role. Maybe vicarious reinforcement, or maybe past reinforcement, or promised reinforcement. We can imagine. Okay, all these three types of reinforcement influence our motivation. Past reinforcement, promised reinforcement, I may say, you do it, I will give you this. That is for promised reinforcement. So promised reinforcement and vicarious reinforcement. Vicarious reinforcement, I have told you that you observe that somebody else is rewarded, is getting the incentive. Similarly, negative motivation can also result from past punishment, promised punishment, threat. We threaten a person. If you do it, I will kill you. Then obviously I am not going to do this. If you go out, then coronavirus will infect you. Then you stop going out. So promised punishment and vicarious punishment. You see that people who are going to gatherings, they are being infected. That is vicarious punishment. Okay, so this is about your observational learning and vicarious reinforcement or vicarious learning. Then how would you evaluate Bandura's theory? Bandura's theory is very powerful. It has generated useful applications in a large number of human behaviors. I have told you that there are several health experiments in health psychology. Self-efficacy has application in health, in the area of health psychology. So he has also developed his theory on the basis of his research. So his theory is based on sound research. He has defined them, his concepts very clearly and scientifically. So Bandura's theory is a very strong theory. However, his theory has several limitations. Some psychologists, they argue that Bandura doesn't acknowledge the importance of biological processes, biological factors. or hormonal processes. Our behavior also, he only talks of psychological personal factors like belief, self-efficacy, etc. But he doesn't take our biological factors into consideration. Physiological factors, biological factors. And some scholars, they criticize that the theory is not very much unified. The concepts are not very much what we will see, we will say. Bandura tries to explain the vast area of personality with the help of very few concepts. So he reduces the why only Bandura, the behaviorists also, they try to explain the complex concept of personality with the help of very few concepts like environment, stimulus, response, reinforcement, etc. So Bandura's theory is considered as a reductionist approach. They try to explain the complex concept of personality with the help of one or two or three factors only. Vicarious reinforcement, self-efficacy, and of them with just 2 to 3 concepts, 2 to 3 factors, so they try to explain the personality. They do not recognize the importance of biology, unconscious mind, etc. However, these theories have applicability in therapies and they are well grounded in research. That is their greatest strength. So, do you have any doubt? Do you have any doubt? Hello? Do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am, I guess no one has any doubt.
Okay. So, sir, for today, is it enough?
Okay, madam. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
For
Thank
delivering
you.
good talk, madam. Thank you
Have
all.
have a very happy Roger. Enjoy your Podopitha.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.